just gonna do some ultimate guessing, right? There it is, okay. There we go. We're just gonna guy, you, Rockstar Freddy, yeah, I guess I can't go to the new office. Sweet. This is a decent warm-up in my eyes, because I'm bad at this game. I don't really use S for vents. I always use that when I for cam. Beautiful. All right. Just bad timing.
Please deposit 5 coins. Thank you for depositing 5 coins.
Wait, no. Okay, dude.
Please deposit 5 coins. Thank you for depositing 5 coins. Please deposit 5. Thank you for depositing 5 coins.
Self-cycle.
Say cheese!
Please deposit 5. Thank you for depositing 5
Oh, I missed it. I like
Thank
that.
you for depositing 5 coins.
Hello? Hello? I wanted to record a message for you to help you get settled in on your first night. I actually worked in that office before you. I'm finishing up my last week now, as a matter of fact, so I know it can be a bit overwhelming, but I'm here to tell you there's nothing to worry about.
Please deposit 5. Thank
So
you
let's
for
just
depositing
focus
5
on
coins.
getting you through your first week, okay? Let's see. First, there's an introductory greeting from the company.
Please deposit. Thank you for depositing 5 coins.
Oh. Forgot I had it. Nightmare Bonnie. Dang, bro. Just forgot. So as soon as I can.
Thank you for depositing 5 coins. Please deposit 5
Fuck
coins.
off.
Please deposit 5 coins.
Hello? Hello?
Please
No.
deposit 5 coins.
Hello, and welcome to your
Please
new summer
deposit
job
5
at the
coins.
new and improved Freddy
Please
Fazbear's
deposit
Pizza.
5.
I'm here to talk you through some of the things you can
coins.
expect to see during your first week here and to help you get started down this new and exciting career path. Now, I want you to forget anything you may have heard about the old locations. Some people still have a somewhat negative impression of the company.
Thank you for depositing 5
That old
coins.
restaurant was kind of left to rot for quite a while, but I want to reassure you, Fazbear Entertainment is committed to family fun and above all, safety. They've spent a small fortune on these new animatronics. Facial recognition, advanced mobility, they even let them walk around during the day. Isn't that neat? But most importantly, they're all tied into some kind of criminal database so they can detect a predator a mile away. Heck, we should be paying them to guard you. Now that being said,
Please
no new
deposit
system
5.
is without its
Thank you for
kinks.
depositing 5 coins.
You're only the second guard to work at that location. The first guy finished his week with complaints about conditions. We switched him over to day shift. So, hey, lucky you, right? Mainly he expressed concern that certain characters seem to move around at night and even attempted to get into his office. Now, from what we know, that should be impossible. That restaurant should be the safest place on Earth. So while our engineers don't really have an explanation for this, the working theory is that the robots were never given a proper night mode. So when it gets quiet, they think they're in the wrong room. So then they go try to find where the people are, and in this case, that's your office. So our temporary solution is this. There's a music box over by the prize counter.
Yar, you win some, you lose some.
Dang it.
Yar, you play with fire and sometimes you get burned.
I was doing good coin farming too. I was doing alright. Nothing great, but Wasn't like my worst coin farm. Probably had these guys as well. So I've beaten this. Alright. I will be right back. Do I not have my be right back screen anymore? That already is in use. Oh. Up there it is.
Have you ever been playing a FNAF game and just thought this was honestly a little bit too easy? Especially on the earlier nights, if you have any experience with any of the FNAF games and roughly know the strategies, they can honestly get kinda boring. And for the average internet user in 2024, you know that we hate boredom. But here on the Bones5 YouTube channel on YouTube, we found a way around that. In this video, I wanted to see if it was possible to beat the main game and complete the max modes of 4 FNAF games all at the same time. This has been one of the most luck-based, rage-inducing, and heartbreaking challenges that I have ever done. Oh, Please. Please. No! And just for a little hint, the final stage of this challenge is fighting off 71 animatronics at the same time. So if that sounds interesting to you, stick around as we answer the question, is it possible to beat 4 FNAF games all at the same time?
So I just got my message, so I'm gonna watch the YouTube while I wait.
The rules for this challenge are simple. We have to pick 4 out of the 7 mainline FNAF games to play all at the same time. Once we've selected our 4 games, whenever we start a night, we have to start that night on all 4 games. If we die in any of the games at any point during the night, we have to automatically restart to the beginning of the night in all 4 games. This holds true even when you've already completed a night in a game that has shorter nights. So, for example, if we're including FNAF 1 and FNAF 3, which have night lengths of 8 minutes and 55 seconds and 6 minutes respectively, and we finish FNAF 3 before FNAF 1, dying on FNAF 1 would still mean resetting all of the games. Glitches are allowed, but only if they are absolutely required to pass the night, and for the majority of this video will be banned. Stalling out full games is also banned. For example, we wouldn't be able to enter a good ending minigame in FNAF 3 in order to not worry about it until we finish the other games. We have to be in the nights of all the games all at the same time. With the rules out of the way, the first question we have to answer is which 4 out of the first 7 FNAF games should we pick? I mean, you already know based on the footage that I'm showing, but I think it's worth explaining why I chose these specific games. When figuring out the games to pick, there are 3 major factors that we're looking out for in games that would be good for this challenge. First, we want to have moments in the game where we have to wait for things to happen. Waiting for something to happen in one game will give us ample time to check on the other games and keep everyone at bay. A perfect example of this would be a long animation or waiting for something to reboot. We also want to make sure that whatever game we choose isn't too reliant on sound cues, and if it is, there's a way to get around them. Lastly, and most importantly, we don't want any of the games to contain an objective that requires holding something on the screen, as that will force us to stay clicked into that window for however long it takes to complete that task. Games that involve keyboard usage will only register inputs when you're clicked into their specific window, so even if the holding task that you have is using the keyboard, it will still force you to stay in that game. So, knowing these conditions, which game should we choose? Well, let's go through each of them and see how many conditions they meet, then we can go from there. FNAF 1 is perfect for this challenge. There is tons of time to wait in FNAF 1, and the only thing that you need to frequently check is Foxy, which just involves a simple flick of the camera. And you don't even have to be clicked into the window to do it. Playing FNAF 1 with sound also provides no advantage to playing it without sound, aside from a few very specific cases. So FNAF 1 easily satisfies all 3 conditions and will be a great pick. Its only downside is the night length. Clocking in at 8 minutes and 55 seconds, it is by far the longest night in the entire series, so it may drag out the nights a little bit. FNAF 2 isn't reliant on sound cues at all. But honestly, that's about where FNAF 2's positives end. On later nights, there's very little wait time in this game aside from blackouts, which aren't always guaranteed. And the one break that you do get, winding the music box, requires you to be clicked into the window of the game. We'll keep FNAF 2 on the back burner for now as a last resort, but ideally we wouldn't want to pick this one. FNAF 3 is a solid pick, and possibly has the best use of wait time in rebooting systems. It is reliant on sound cues, but if you're fast enough, you can keep track of Springtrap visually. These sound cues are also constant, so we can instantly recognize where Springtrap is without having to listen for a specific sound at a specific time. There's also nothing in FNAF 3 that forces us to hold our cursor and stay in the window, so this is another easy pick. FNAF 4 has some problems, but like FNAF 2, it could be considered as a last resort. FNAF 4 does have some pretty long animations as we continuously run throughout the room. However, it's very reliant on sound cues, especially on later nights with Nightmare. And for closing any of the doors or flashing the bed, we're going to need to be clicked into that window and holding down a key. So overall, probably not a good choice. Do I even need to say anything? We are not including sister location. Though FNAF 6 is very reliant on sound cues, it has a lot of perks that we should definitely consider. As far as wait times go, it has the longest wait times of any game in the whole series. While we wait for tasks to complete, we can take care of everything else in all the other games. It also doesn't require any holding animations, so we barely have to spend any time in this game at all. Another huge perk of FNAF 6 specifically is the variable night length. The nights in FNAF 6 end when you finish all of your tasks, which, when the terminal is fully upgraded, only takes around 2 minutes if you're perfectly speedrunning. So if we can play this game fast, we'll be able to put more focus on the other 3 games after we finish the night in FNAF 6. So, with our conditions laid out, which game should we pick? From these 6, the best choices are easily FNAF 1, FNAF 3, and FNAF 6. From here, we have to choose between FNAF 4 and FNAF 2. But honestly, I wasn't really sure between these two. Both of these games require a lot of attention on them, especially in the later nights. And unless I wanted to gamble on getting near perfect RNG on every game, this really wasn't looking like it was going to be doable. FNAF 2 and 4 just take up way too much time. If only there was a secret 4th game that met all of these conditions. That's right, the far and away hardest vanilla FNAF game, Ultimate Custom Night, is perfect for this challenge. Honestly, think about it for a second. Does anything in UCN require you to hold down buttons on the keyboard for an extended period of time? No. Is it reliant on sound cues? Sure, maybe for a few animatronics, but we've already proven that we definitely don't need them. Now, are there any wait times? Definitely. We have to wait around 40 to 50 seconds to office stall between vent resets. And as a 4th perk, UCN nights only last 4 minutes and 30 seconds. And we can pretty much AFK them after the 340 vent reset, which gives us more time to focus on the remaining games. So, with that, we have our lineup of FNAF 1, 3, 6, and UCN. Though there is a bit of a problem with this lineup. FNAF 6 doesn't have 7 nights to match 1 and 3, with it only having 6 nights, and UCN doesn't have any main nights at all. So here's how we're going to play this one out. Every night we'll add 5 animatronics to 20 AI in UCN, with night 7 being 50-20. So for night 1, we'll be playing on 20-20 mode, then 25-20 on night 2, 30-20 on night 3, and so on, all the way up to 50-20. For FNAF 6, we'll just play Saturday twice at the end when we're going for the max modes. And I'm sure this goes without saying, that we're going to be salvaging every single animatronic in FNAF 6. With the games and rules out of the way, let's get into night 1. Night 1 functions as the perfect warm-up to get used to the movement that we'll be using in these games. As in FNAF 3 and 6, no one's even here yet, and everyone is so slow in FNAF 1 and UCN that really we don't have much to deal with. Throughout these games, we're going to be frequently clicking between windows to turn something on or off, then clicking back into another window. So it was good to train those reflexes early. For UCN, I had to choose the first 20 animatronics for the night. But honestly, at this point I wasn't really putting too much thought into who I put on. If you've watched my UCN AI breakdown video, I make it a point that UCN's difficulty curve is exponential, and the game doesn't really require that much attention until about 35 to 40-20. Instead of explaining why I chose all 20 of these specific animatronics, instead I want to talk about the specific animatronics that we want to avoid turning on at all costs. If you're not familiar with the general strategy for any night in UCN, it's a combination of cam stalling and office stalling. Cam stalling is when an animatronic can't move while you're selected on their respective camera, and office stalling is when animatronics can be poised and ready to attack, but won't until you pull up the cameras. Most of the lethal animatronics in UCN are affected by one or both of these conditions, but the ones that aren't are the ones that we want to watch out for, as these are the animatronics that will force us to spend more time in UCN and less time in other games. Any of the animatronics that we need to use the GMB cycle for, we do not want to put on under any circumstances. So Lefty, Music Man, Chica, and the Puppet should always remain off for as long as possible. Any animatronics that can't be office stalled should also be avoided. Afton and Ballora can both appear and jump scare you without the cameras being pulled up, and are primarily sound cue and reaction based. So we definitely don't want them on. We also don't want Phantom Freddy or OMC on if possible, as both require constant management throughout the entire night. I had Phantom Freddy on during night 1, but I would quickly take him off on the later nights as the games became far too much to manage. I ended up going with this roster for 2020 in night 1, and the UCN strategy is really easy for this. Because we don't have any animatronics on that require us to control our noise level or use the GMB, we can keep the power generator and fan on the entire night. This will keep the office at 60 degrees the entire night and give us loads of power to work with. Now, all that we have to do is place an audio lure at the very left of the duct system to trap the 3 duct animatronics that we have on, then select camera 2 in the cam system. Once this is done, we just wait until the ventilation is about to go out, reset it, then continue stalling. Other than that, I honestly don't have much to say about night 1 because there really isn't much going on here. Though I did notice something that could be problematic for the future. Whenever I logged out of the PC to finish the night for FNAF 6, my cursor was actually locked into the window until the game loaded the salvage sequence.
Great job. Looks like you're getting the hang of this.
Oh shit, my cursor.
Now
Skip, go away. I don't care, bro. So I couldn't do anything else while it was locked. Thankfully, nothing happened when it was locked, but later on I could definitely see this causing some problems. Now let's move on to night 2. Now we have to add 5 animatronics to our UCN roster, and at this point, so many easy animatronics were available that I was still just selecting randomly. I chose to put on the 2 Fredbears, Withered Bonnie and Chica, and Springtrap. This doesn't change the UCN strategy at all, but on night 2, the other games are now considerably more difficult. From this point onward on these night transition slides, I'm gonna rank how hard each game was for that specific night, just to give a general idea on what I had to focus on the most in the cycle. For one, the bane of my existence, Springtrap, is now here, and caused the first death of this challenge by moving through an unsealed vent in about 3 seconds flat. Throughout the first 5 nights of this video, you'll see that Springtrap is really aggressive for the main game of FNAF 3, and you'll see why later on in this video. Just know, it's a really simple mistake that probably cost me 3 to 5 hours of my life. Along with Springtrap, the other most annoying game for this challenge, FNAF 6, now actually has an animatronic in the building. What makes FNAF 6 so annoying for this challenge is that we're entirely forced to rely on RNG in order to have enough time to survive in the other games, since we can't waste time sitting idle in FNAF 6 and listening for audio cues. I didn't really have a strategy for FNAF 6 at this point. I just tried to find wherever Molten Freddy is with the audio lure, then keep him trapped while I spammed tasks. Though that didn't seem to deter him very much, and he managed to kill me in 11.7 seconds flat on night 2. And trust me, FNAF 6 was not going to get much better as the nights went on. Dude, what the f was that, bro? What kind of odds, dude? That was like 16 seconds in? Dude, get a job, please? Thankfully though, at least for this night, whatever kind of crazy chance Molten Freddy rolled to kill me that early seemed to be somewhat of a fluke, and I was able to trap him with the audio lure and spam tasks to get FNAF 6 done no problem. Fortunately, I was able to find a way to fix the cursor locking problem from earlier. In Click Team games, there's a default feature where you can press Ctrl P and the game will pause. Developers can choose to remove this feature, but Scott decided to keep it in his games. If you pause FNAF 6 right after beating the night, you can pause the cutscene and immediately regain control of your cursor to deal with the other games. I don't consider this cheating because we're already done with the night in FNAF 6, so I think it's well within the rules. It was at this point in night 2 that I was starting to develop a cycle in order to keep all 4 games at bay. I'd first start up a task in FNAF 6, then check if I needed to get anything done in UCN. Then I would go up to FNAF 1 and check both door lights and do a cam flip for Foxy. Then I could see if I was in any immediate danger for FNAF 3 or had to reboot any systems, then repeat the cycle. This cycle seemed to hold up pretty well, and I was able to get Night 2 down in about 2 attempts. There were a few close calls with Springtrap, but thankfully he always decided to enter vents that I had preemptively sealed, and he always listened to my audio lures when he was at the glass. He did end up running past the glass at 4 AM, but I was able to camp him out and end the night before he was able to get into the office. And that was pretty much where the easy part of this challenge ended. For the remaining nights, it just got worse from here.
Love games, but hate the grind? With WeMod, you can be invincible, unimaginably wealthy, or even teleport.
Night 3 started to show how lethal the combination of FNAF 6 and FNAF 3 RNG can be for this challenge. So at this point, I had to change my overall strategy somehow to make these games more consistent. Okay, I need to put so much more priority on... Like, what do I actually have to do in UCN? Let's like really think for a second. Who is on that can actively kill me, right? Because I don't think it's many people. You know what? Eat that. Synchronized jump scare. It was at this point that I realized Phantom Freddy was the only character keeping me from AFKing UCN for 95% of the night, so I replaced him with Jacko Chica, which allowed me to put way more focus on FNAF 6 and FNAF 3. Still, even though I had to spend less time in UCN, FNAF 6 was still killing me. At this point, there were now 2 animatronics active that were having movement opportunities every 4 seconds. I needed a strategy that would increase the consistency of this night while also still not being too reliant on audio cues, and this was when I discovered the YOLO strat. The YOLO strat is a FNAF 6 strategy made by It's Taken, and honestly, it brings a tear to the eye of any FNAF Max Mode nerd. This strategy is like the peak of FNAF engineering next to the Braden FNAF 2 strat. But to understand how this works, we're going to have to briefly explain some FNAF 6 AI. In other FNAF games, difficulty is often scaled through an AI value, with this AI value increasing as the nights go on, and that same AI value determining the chance of an animatronic moving, usually out of 20. However, this AI value never changes the interval of that animatronic. For example, in FNAF 1, Freddy will always have an interval every 3.02 seconds, regardless of his overall AI value. His chance to move on that interval will just be much higher as the AI value increases. But FNAF 6 takes the complete opposite approach in difficulty scaling. Instead of animatronics having a higher chance to move as the nights increase, animatronics always have a flat 1 in 3 chance to move, but their interval will get faster and faster as the nights progress. Now, when an animatronic does succeed on their 1 in 3 chance to move, they have to decide where to move, and this is where this map comes in. Here you can see all the displayed chances for where an animatronic is going to move given their location. For example, if Lefty here is in room 6, he has a 50% chance to move to room 7 and a 25% chance to move to room 1 or 10. Once an animatronic makes their way into these squares here, which are your adjacent vents, they disregard the 1 in 3 chance from earlier and instead have a chance to hear you. Depending on how many different things you have on in the office, animatronics will have a higher or lower chance to hear you. However, even if an animatronic knows you're there and hears you, they won't be able to advance if you have the flashlight shined on them. What's important for this strategy though is what happens when they don't hear you. If an animatronic doesn't hear you and your flashlight is not on them, they're sent back to the middle squares of their respective side, which in this diagram is squares 7 and 8. Now here's where it all comes together. When the night first starts, we're going to slam an audio lure on square 7. If you look back at our map, you'll notice that the left side of the building actually has slightly better odds of an animatronic not reaching your vent, and square 7 is by far the best place for the audio lure. Remember, when an animatronic doesn't hear you, they get sent back to square 7, right in the center of our audio lure. Animatronics have a flat 50% chance to get fooled by the audio lure on every movement, so assuming they get sent back to this square after not hearing you, they'll need to roll 2 successful movements to get out of the audio lure in order to attack you again. This takes care of the left side completely with a little bit of RNG. Now just constantly camp the right vent with your flashlight, preventing any animatronics from that side from ever getting into your office. With this strategy, you have about a 25% chance of winning by just constantly spamming tasks, and can finish the night in around 2 minutes flat. Personally, I found these odds to be more like 1 in 10, but I'm just gonna chalk that up to bad luck. This strategy is insanely useful for this challenge. Not only does it require very little setup and management throughout the night, It also ends the night of FNAF 6 considerably faster, reducing the stress for the rest of UCN 3 and 1. The YOLO strat made night 3 much easier to deal with, and once I had a run past FNAF 6, I was able to take care of UCN and 3 no problem. FNAF 1 still hadn't been much of an issue yet, and at this point in the challenge, I hadn't taken a single death to anyone in that game. And honestly, it makes sense. In the main nights of FNAF 1, the way the AI values work actually works really well for this challenge. For the main nights in FNAF 1, some characters will have their AI value increase as the night goes on, specifically at 2 AM, 3 AM, and 4 AM. But remember, compared to the rest of our games, FNAF 1 is really long, and by the time we reach 2 AM in FNAF 1, FNAF 6 is already done, and we're almost already at our last event reset in UCN. Foxy could still get by sometimes, but you have so much power in the early nights of FNAF 1 that it really doesn't matter all that much. Without too much effort, night 3 went down, but from here on out, it was going to be pretty challenging. The further we go in these nights, the lower the chances of the YOLO strat working. This means that any runs that get past FNAF 6, you need to make count. Night 4 was a massive jump in difficulty compared to nights 1 to 3, and was the first night that I actually began to seriously struggle on. Springtrap was now the main cause of
boop. Please deposit 5 coins. Really? That fast? So I just gotta... So no tournament, none of this, none of that. Okay. I'm just so distraught, really, for just no reason, but... Ba-da-da-bum, ba-da-da-ba-ba-da-da-ba-da-da-bum, ba-da-da-ba-da-da-bum. I couldn't walk straight for that. Yeah, wow, of course. What the hell? Oh, okay. So you got the option that he had this time. And then you're gonna just stand there, aren't you? Yep. 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 Oh, so what's up, though? Because you know what? Because we just love this game. You know what? Oh, perfect. Perfect. Oh, perfect dodge, and then perfect punish. I mean, like, come on. This game just loves me, right? Oh, really? I hate to this so much. You're just... You can't play here. I think you just spam ground pound off stage. I remember it being that long.